please like our video and subscribe to RotoWire. Then go to rotowire.com/pod for a free 10-day trial.
Hey everybody, welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, the Sunday night version, Monday morning for you on the East Coast. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you could please rate and review the podcast, we'd certainly appreciate that. It goes a long way towards helping out the podcast, helping people find the podcast, which is also a good thing. Wherever you happen to listen to us, whether it be iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere else, Spotify, wherever, that would be fantastic if you could review us there. Jeff, we are at March 28th. We're at the first week of the season, sort of. It starts on Thursday, but let's talk about Fab first. The interesting thing about this week was not only were there a lot of teams that drafted in February that had a lot of guys available, but there are people that had drops already. Eloy Jimenez is a drop. Kirby Yates is a drop. Nick Anderson's a drop. So it's not just guys that hurt for 3 or 4 weeks. These are guys that are out for the season. And, in the TGFBI, I almost had TGBY because you always call it that. I had Eloy in the 3rd round and Yates in the 10th round. So I'm already giving the rest of my league a little bit of a handicap already. So I'm behind the 8 ball. So they better not let me win this one. But, it's guys that are easy drops. They're painful drops, but they're definite drops. Not like an in-between where Eloy's out 6 weeks and you got to hold him. These are drops. So not only people have people to add, stuff has changed since February, but people have people to drop, which is, I think, a little bit different than normally. So we usually don't see season-long injuries. I feel like the top 10. We always get injuries, but these felt more harsh than usual. So the big name, I would say, with some of the February onlines, other drafts we saw was C.J. Cron, who, early in February hadn't been signed by anybody. So kind of in some 12-teamers maybe snuck through. I saw some people bidding on him. Obviously got signed by the Rockies, and not only did he get signed by the Rockies, but he's made the roster, so he's going to play. It looks like he's going to hit in the middle of the lineup. He's been hitting 470-foot home runs in spring. Did you have Cron available in any of your earlier leagues? I saw him the Beat Chris List League. He went for $444 that first draft that Chris did. Jake McGee went for over $600 in that league too. So it was a very active league, and I think Chris drafted really early in February though.
Yeah, his first one was really early. I think he did one just on Friday night. I don't know if I saw that one yet, but no, my earliest one was, Beat Jeff Erickson one was, it must have been in February because I don't see it on my super crowded calendar, but I had another one on the 15th, and both of those he was taken. One of them by me. The first Beat Jeff Erickson, I set the very, very temporary minimum in the online championship at
had he been signed by the Rockies yet, but was still not in the 40-man roster at that point, right?
Correct.
Okay.
He hadn't been raking yet. In fact, they hadn't even played any spring training. I don't think they had played spring training games at that point. And I jumped. After saying on the podcast, "Oh yeah, I won't be paying that price," and then I thought about it a little bit more. Oh, Jedi mind trick! I did pay that price.
It's funny. When I talked about it, we're like, "Oh, he's going to be a 10th round pick by the main event." He went the 8th round in my main event on Saturday.
Both of my mains, he went the 8th. Yep.
Yeah, the 10th round, trying to be shock value really high, wasn't even close. It was 30 picks before that. It's raking, hitting middle order in Colorado, a guy that has proven he can hit a lot of home runs. It makes a lot of sense. But he was kind of the big one. But obviously we had Kirby Yates get hurt. He's out for the year. Jordan Romano was not drafted in a lot of leagues, so he was out there in a bunch of stuff. I think he was available in both of yours, right?
He was available in both of mine, and I missed him in both of mine. I put bids in, and I thought even pretty healthy bids, like $250, and in both cases, I didn't even get the second place bid.
Do you feel pretty good? He's the guy, even though they haven't done the official naming of.
Yeah, I do, because Dolis is hurt right now, a little banged up, and sure, it could be Chatwood, it could be David Phelps. They could, I know, and Montoya did say he wanted to preserve the idea of a committee, but it seems like one of those. It's a committee until someone converts a save, and then we'll try him again. And if he converts that one, well, we'll try him again. Oh, I guess it's our closer now.
How much do you like him as a pitcher, just going forward? Looking at, obviously, if he has the job. I saw him going in I saw him going 8th round today. I saw him going 7th round in main event earlier. How much do you like him as a pitcher? Because you look at him, and last year was great. He was at 1.23 ERA, a lot of strikeouts, but the year before, ERA was 7.6, and they're both really small samples, 15 and 14 innings. He walked a lot of guys in 2019, walked less guys in the minors, so maybe that was first time up in the majors sort of thing. But how much do you like him as a pitcher if he has the job, kind of holding on to the job for the year?
Converted starter, as many of them top relievers are.
Yep.
AAA 2019 53 to 14K to walk, 37 innings. It's not a immaculate walk record, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, that'll definitely play. The 2019 won't play as well, but the 19 and 20, I guess will definitely play.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And 20 if you prorate, because we all prorate, right? If you prorate what he did, is a 57 to 14 K to walk in 38 innings. So yeah, that's the sort of thing that gets people excited. That K rate, that's the thing. The K percentage is pretty high.
And you watch him. He's a guy that looks really good too. But you still see that 2019, but that's only 15 innings also. So you can't if you're not gonna overrate 2020, you can't underrate 2019. So I get that it's in between that. And I like a guy that gets a lot of strikeouts, gets a ton of ground balls to him, and that's usually a really good combo for a closer.
And even in his struggling year in 2019, 13% swinging strike percentage. Last year, 20.7. I mean, he gets them to whiff.
Yeah, I think if anything, it'd be walks that would be his downfall. If he can just kind of be average on the walks, I think he'll be pretty darn good.
Yeah, and he in very limited sample, of course, but he was great this spring. 13 to 2 K to walk in 15 in just short of 6 innings. But 13 Ks in 6 innings, I like that.
I think it's a not wanting to name, but I think it's pretty much him.
Yeah. So I have been shut out on him so far. I think in fact I think Doug Dennis drafted him in XFL in the auction back in the fall. So good on him. So I don't think he's available, but
although see. I guess that was even before Yates signed. So I suppose if you're projecting the Blue Jays closer, I guess Romano made sense then too. But you mentioned Luke Voit having surgery on a partial meniscus tear. It doesn't sound like we have a full set timetable. I think most of the guests I've seen is about a month of missed time, which obviously opens up a spot in the Yankees lineup, which is a coveted spot to be. Jay Bruce was the guy that I think people were filling in with. He made the roster, he made the team, he could play first base. You got to think he plays against most righties. I'd say probably all righties, and maybe sits versus lefties. Were you in on Bruce at all in a bid in any spots?
Just in token bids. And the fact that they optioned Mike Ford earlier, obviously bodes well for him. I was, but I didn't get him.
His 2019, I mean, his 2020 was brutal, and it's another guy that do you throw that out? It was 32 games, but his 2019, or I guess his 2019 was pretty good, right? He hit.
He didn't hit for average or on base, but he hit for power.
Hit for power. There you go. Hit 26 home runs in only 333 plate appearances, so pretty darn good power. But you're right, the average was 216. Strikeout rate's not huge though. Hit the ball really hard. I mean, you put him in Yankee Stadium and playing, 75% of the games. I think he's definitely rosterable at this point for sure.
That or he's cut in May. One of the two.
Yeah, but I think for April, I think he should be definitely on 15-team rosters, and I think he's pretty playable on a 12-teamer right now, if he's at least for April.
Yeah, I think it really depends on whether you have the active roster spot for him. Yeah. I don't think he's a guy you stash. I think you need him, you use him right now, great.
Yeah.
If not, move on. Especially because it's more than just the minimum bid that's going to require him in most cases.
Yeah.
They start off at home against Toronto. That's not bad. I mean, you accept
lefties, right?
3 lefties. He may not even, at least that's what we've got it as like projected as, and that's the thing. It's an art, not a science this particular week.
But you got Ryu for sure, and I think Matz is going to pitch this weekend because they have some.
We have it as K and Matz.
Yeah.
But because Robbie Ray's not going to make his first start, which by the way is another lefty.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered, but. Yeah, I don't think Tanner Roark's going to pitch. Roark might pitch on Saturday, actually, so it might be 2-1, but still, you're not going to use them. If they have 2 games, it's another key. We'll talk about week 1. Every team plays Thursday, but then only 8 teams play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's whatever the math is, 22 teams that play 2 games over the weekend. So in NFBC, that Thursday is one period in itself, the one-day thing, and then you got to set lineups at least on offense for Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I hate the first 2 weeks of the season just because of all that, off days on Sunday. What's that? Who's off on Sunday?
I get the off day Friday because if you have a rain out Thursday, you want to be able to have opening day. But why Sunday? That's an odd one.
Yeah, it's totally bizarro at the end of a series. I hate it. It's wrong. Yeah. It's un-American.
Sunday should have a full slate of games for sure. And yeah, this first week and a half with rainouts and all that kind of stuff. Although the weather's supposed to be, someone was like, "Oh, it's really bad in Denver," and then I looked in a week from now when they're playing, it's like 75 degrees and sunny in Denver. So apparently the weather's clearing. So we should have a nice Dodgers Rockies 4-game series in the sun. But
little known fact: Denver gets 200 days of sunshine a year. It's one of the sunniest cities in America because most of the snow stops at the mountains.
That is some random and interesting knowledge. I did not expect that you were going to come with that tonight.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm well-rounded.
That meteorology degree is paying off well.
Yeah. I just siphoned off of Brad Evans' meteorology degree.
Actually really has a meteorology
Yes, he does,
too.
for legit real.
I was joking on you, but actually Brad actually does that.
Yes, I know.
Freddy Peralta in Milwaukee was taken in most leagues. Some in a couple 12 tiers available. I just kind of want to talk about this guy. This is a guy that you and I talked about a lot last year. We talked about Peralta and Corbin Burns. We were talking about Milwaukee kind of preseason and during the season. He's won the number 5 job. He's starting. Josh Lindblom is going to the bullpen. This is someone that I am really excited about if he can just get a run in their rotation and kind of stick. Obviously, the K rate was high last year. He came out of the bullpen and only started 1 game. You look back at 2018. 30% K rate and 14 of his 16 appearances or starts. I think this is a guy that has a lot of upside. Maybe he can limit the walks a little bit. The stuff is there. I'm excited about Peralta if they can just kind of let him go and be a starter all year.
I agree. I thought that he wasn't available in my leagues though. That was frustrating. Even the Yogurt League was not available. Labor, which we drafted in early February, not available. Now 15 teams, mind you. So there's always someone that's on Fast Freddy. But
how early did he go in your main event on Saturday?
Let me see. I will tell you.
Do you remember it like being super early?
Everything was super early. That's the thing. Pitching.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
Pitching got pushed up in my league, and probably in a lot of leagues. I know that's not exactly original there, but I'm trying to see. Yeah, he went in the 11th round. He went pick 157 right after I took Jake McKee at a ludicrously early price.
I was about to take him I was pick 11. I was going to take him in the 13th round. He went about 4 picks before me, and I just I'm really excited about him. I mean, obviously the ADP you could throw out the window with Peralta. I think it was like 223 or something like that. That's long gone. I think he's a 11, 12, 13 round guy in there if you want to get him in your drafts moving forward.
Yep, I agree. The question with Freddie is twofold: is he going to stop giving up homers? Because that's always been a problem for him. And 2, how deep into the games is he going to go?
I think your second point's really good.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, at least I'm half right. So I got that going for me.
Not the first one was bad. I think the second one for fantasy purposes is really important because, I mean, he didn't throw more than 4 innings a game. Granted, he was a reliever last year, but it's not a long time since he threw deep into a game.
Well, remember, we analyzed Freddie and Corbin Burns basically in the same area last year.
Yeah. Burns
took the leap. Freddie did not. He didn't get the chance, though, as often. I think he had a couple of spot starts. Didn't go great. And, this is the way Counsell also manages, too. He has a relatively quick hook. And, that when he was a reliever, he could siphon off some wins here and there. He could come in, Brett Anderson's just waiting to get pulled after 4. So, sorry.
I'm not allowed to comment, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah. I know you. I just was doing it for you.
I know.
But now it's Lindblom gets to be the wins vulture instead.
So here's my question for you. 15-team league. I really like Josh Lindblom coming into this as I was doing my offseason research. We talked about him in one of the podcasts. Do you think he's a cut right now?
Boy, that's tough. I mean, I think a lot of it's context. Like, how badly do you need the cut? Who are you trying to pick up?
That's true. I think if you need a cut, though, I think that it's really hard to hold someone that is not a stud fireball. Like, if he gets a job, he's going to take off. A guy that's going to be, I think, will be pretty solid. But I don't think you can hold that in the bullpen because who knows when he's going to start. And you're not using him until he does start, and then maybe he takes a little bit to ramp up. I think you're looking at many, many weeks till you actually can start him.
Yeah, I think that's 100% right. And I struggle with some cuts too. Whether it was. Whether it was Josh Fleming, who I had a lot of places, and he didn't get, he got sent down, straight up sent down. I thought he'd at least work in tandem, like with someone like behind Rich Hill or something. No, I finally am getting my spreadsheet going, so I'm highlighting some guys that I, either found questionable or cutting. I had Tanner Houck in a lot of places. He didn't even make the roster, and he didn't even make the last cut. It's like
we're excited about him, and like a month and a half ago too. You saw him on an ADP list, and now he's. I think Fleming's probably a cut too.
He was a cut. I mean, I just you have to. You can't hold on to guys like that. You cripple yourself when you're passing up, especially these early fab periods, where let's face it. I mean, this is some of the best fab times you can get, especially if you drafted early. Now, if you drafted yesterday, like you and I did in the main event, there's like 5 or 6 guys that got picked up. It's a little different.
Yeah, that's still pretty good though. I had a couple teams that picked up multiple guys. I was like, wow, 24
I picked
hours,
up one in one of my 2 main event leagues. I got shut out in the other. But I picked just a stream because I was lacking pitchers for this first weekend.
I think a lot of people are doing that, making sure you got enough pitchers for the half week.
Yeah, smart people actually drafted for those, and I tried to in some cases, but like I said, everything gets pushed up. Here's Vlad in my league taking Jake Arrieta in the 21st round. I mean,
That's the
I shouldn't have said that, but
that's the Rob Silver special right there. You can say it.
Yeah.
He's been targeting the first 2 starts are both against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he was on my list. I just thought I could get him the 25th. Maybe I'll get aggressive and get him the 24th.
He went like 3 rounds earlier than I was going to take him in mine too. I was like, oh, I guess someone else is. He went the 24th in mine. I was going to take him probably a round or 2 later, and I was like, oh, crossing that one off.
Michael Wacha, same thing. He got taken in the 22nd round by Casey Cha. Okay, they don't miss anything.
I really like Michael Wacha as a late pick.
Yeah, I did too.
I took him in mine, and I think that there's especially on the Rays, I think they just do things right. I think there's a legit upside with Michael Walker this year.
I wrote about him in January, for crying out loud. Appeal to authority. That's the Rays, and also me getting outbid on him or getting outdrafted on him.
37 strikeouts and 7 walks last year at the Mets in 34 innings. Granted, the home runs killed all his numbers, but if you're looking at strikeouts and walks, it was there, and apparently he's throwing really hard in spring too.
Yeah, and they max out the velocity with these guys. They have awesome defense, awesome outfield defense.
Yeah,
also not happening with the Mets last year.
No,
so I mean, it was Jeff McNeil in the outfield at times. We all know how that goes.
We do.
All right, there we go.
We've seen that firsthand. But sticking in the since you mentioned the Mets, sticking in the NL East, the Marlins. I almost said Dolphins. Good Lord. The Marlins decide on their second base position. Jazz Chisholm, the very highly regarded prospect, got the job over Isan Diaz, who went down to keep wanting to say minor leagues, but I guess it's an alternate camp for a month. Really is what it is. Jazz is interesting. He's like one of those sexy guys that has power. He steals. Batting average may be a huge issue, a huge problem. He had some batting averages in Double-A in 2019. He had 204. Reports from the spring are like people are really excited about him. Granted, last year he came up, hit $161 in 21 games, had a 31% K rate, but they seem really excited about him. He's one of those guys that could be a horrible batting average, but could pop too. Like maybe he just super talented. Maybe he's figured some stuff out. How do you feel about Jazz coming into this final week here?
I mean, he's got the prospect pedigree, right? He's got. He came over for Zach Gallen, for crying out loud. But, he was always kind of a highly rated prospect. And then, he had the big spring. The ball was jumping off his bat. He's kind of like, he's grown up a little bit. That's what prospects do. They struggle initially and then they kind of get it. Now, it wasn't perfect in spring training. Still 12 strikeouts and 38 at-bats. That's not great. I think batting average is still a pretty big risk to him. I got upset when I didn't get him. And I didn't get him. I got outbid on him in Fab, and I was 3 picks away from getting him in the Saturday main event.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the batting average, like, oh, this is scary. But then you look at 18 home runs and 13 stolen bases as a 21-year-old in Double-A.
Right.
You see 25 home runs, 17 stolen bases across A and high A as a 20-year-old in 2018. I mean, there's a lot here, and it may go badly. He could hit 200 for a month, and maybe they try and figure something out. But I think they're giving him a run for a while. The fact they sent Diaz down is a sign that they're probably pretty committed to him, at least for the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season. He's a fun, exciting guy. I mean, if you can get him, obviously now that he's won the job, I think he moves up 3, 4, 5 rounds in some of the main events here these last couple days. So I think it's like a 17th, 18th rounder instead of a 23rd, 24th rounder, but still someone that I'm willing to take a shot on.
Yeah, I like. I know there's the next guy on your list. I like Josh Rojas better than Jazz.
Yeah, I think I do too.
And I drafted accordingly on Saturday. I got Rojas, and then I picked him up in Fab in a league already too, in a couple of leagues I think. Going back to the Marlins real quick, that they kind of have a crowded roster still. Even with sending Diaz down, John Birdie doesn't have a starting job right now. He's going to get spot start second,
sure.
Spot start in outfield, spot start at shortstop. They're going to find ways to get him in there. But I also shied away from drafting John Birdie this season as a result of that. But you look at the outfield: Corey Dickerson, Starling Marte, Adam Duvall, who they signed a 2-year contract with. They're gonna play him. Garrett Cooper's like raking this spring though. But Aguilar's the starter. They got to find ways for all these guys.
Yeah, they do. It's a weirdly like not high level stud buster, but a lot of like good hitters and good players that you just kind of have to fit in.
Right.
My problem with Birdie, I think you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago when we talked about him, is like it's not that he's not going to get stats by the end of the year. It's just like I don't know how well I can time those stats.
Exactly. It's the same thing with Jonathan VR, who just dropped way through the floor in my main. I mean, way low, like 25th round or something. It was really late. And
yeah, he might have 30 steals, and you may be able to get like 14 of them based on how you time it. It's gonna be frustrating.
The Jared Dyson problem all over, except VR's was a better hitter at one point, but I just can't do it. He was sitting there for rounds, and I just couldn't do it.
You mentioned taking Rojas. How do you feel about him? I mean, he's been great in the spring. Has he hit 353 with 4 home runs in the spring? Won the job. Starting at second base, might be hitting 5th or 6th somewhere in there. So in a pretty good spot. And he's kind of like with Jazz a little bit. You kind of look back at the old minor league stuff. I mean, he's not the same prospect pedigree. He's a little bit older, but you look at 2019 AAA with Houston. It's 12 home runs, 19 stolen bases, hit 310. You're like, wow, this is an interesting guy. Had some strikeout issues when he got called up, 25%, but he's been like a 15, 16% strikeout in the minors. And we always see that first time up in the majors. Guys struggle with that. I think there's some real upside with Rojas, and he's going to get he's second base eligible. A really interesting guy that's kind of gained momentum as the spring's gone on.
Absolutely. I'm completely on him, and I'm not the first. Alex Chamberlain was the first, and then Rob Silver. I mean that's a lot of helium pushing right there, and but I'm on board. I've got him projected for 14 homers and 16 stolen bases. That's something I'm interested in.
Yeah, in whatever round he's going and it's moving up, that'll play.
I took him in the 18th. I almost said 13th. That would be weird, but 18th, and it wasn't the mid pick, but it was early. And he actually went late in mine, and I got stuck because I had 2 second basemen and a shortstop, and I was kind of filling other stuff, and I needed some pitchers and I needed some out. And it wasn't a perfect roster February. I probably just should have done it and figured it out, but I already had a utility only guy in Nelson Cruz, so I kind of got to the spot where I liked him and it just didn't fit my team, and that just happens sometimes. Who'd you take instead?
I took a catcher, then I took Alex Dickerson. I took Heimer Candelero because I didn't have any corners. I needed 2 corners at that point. Okay,
well, Heimer is a frequent ad in RotoWire circles. I think I only have him in 1 league, but I think that's like a Clay Link special.
He just hits the ball really hard. I don't know what's going to happen, but the hard hit stuff and the StatCast stuff is really good. So I do like him. And third base kind of drops off the table there. So you get to like the 14th round. I was going to take Josh Donaldson. He went 2 picks before me. He went early from ADP, at least in mine. I feel like people trolling me in my league. Matt Chapman and Sean Murphy both went 30 picks earlier than ADP, so I feel like I guys like of all leagues, I really get the league. People want to target A's guys, and Chapman went right before me on a pick, and I don't think I was quite ready to take him, but I was surprised he went that early. But it's tough. Sometimes you get team dynamics, just a guy doesn't fit, and you're trying to fill other stuff, and I may regret not having Josh Rojas in that league, but it was gonna be hard to play him at least initially.
Did the people that snagged him, were they part of the other multi-main event winners in your league?
Quickly, we're going to talk a lot of stuff here, but Rangers bullpen was another situation that came up in Fab this week. Jose Leclerc, since people drafted early, has been injured. Do you have any sort of feel between Ian Kennedy and Matt Bush in this bullpen? I would lean Kennedy myself, but not the strongest of leans. I wouldn't quite say heavy lean Kennedy, but it's a lean Kennedy. It's a definite lean Kennedy, not more than a slight lean. Bush just had a bad outing just recently. Kennedy's been a closer before, and recently enough. Hey, let's get burned on Ian Kennedy again. It just happened just last year. He only gave up 7 home runs in 14 innings last year.
Yeah, he was hurt. he was sulking about losing the closing job or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I get the guy that tossed him out. But the thing with Bush is he hasn't pitched since 2018, and he was bad in 2018. So he hasn't been good since 2017. That's a long time to throw you in the closer role anytime soon. Now that you talk about it, I think I'm probably a stronger lean Kennedy than I thought I was. I think I'd go him.
Yeah. I would too. And the thing is, I got him in Fab in a couple of places too. And I
think that's worth it. I think it's worth seeing what happens. I mean, in worst case, you end up dropping him, but he wasn't super expensive either.
No, I was the winning bid in TGFBI 43-32. I think I got him in one of my onlines also. One of my onlines, like I didn't really go that aggressively because I couldn't find like a good drop. It was weird, but that was my more recent online too. But like I was looking at, like I have Will Smith and Chris Martin. I don't want to get rid of Martin that quickly because what happens? If they haven't really officially announced, I've got a share in the Phillies with Neris. He may get it, he may not. Tyler Rogers, same thing. I have Pete Fairbanks, Soto on the Tigers, Gregory Soto. So point is, like all those guys could be nothing or really something.
Right. And the thing is, after it might even be 4 days, you'll know, but definitely after 10 days, you'll know if you want to hold them or not. I mean, you could tell if someone from the Tigers comes out and converts 2 saves and Soto's throwing the 7th inning, you could drop there, or you'll be able to figure that out pretty easily if they're worth holding on to or not.
Yeah, and clearly this is a 12-teamer, not a 15-teamer. I couldn't afford that many roster spots on that, but so it cost me in Kennedy. It's the Rangers' closing job anyhow. It's kind of like getting all worked up about not getting Kyle Crick or not getting whoever the Tigers closer de jure is, something like that. Okay, yeah, it would have been nice to have Soto if I didn't get him in the draft, but okay.
As someone who had a big stake many years ago in Jorge Julio on the Orioles, who went 6 weeks without a save op, I always think about that when I pick guys up. I'm like, I know. And you got to keep putting him in every week, right? Because a week you take him out, the Orioles are going to win 4 games, and it was. I think he finished the year 6 weeks without a save op. It was not good.
It's very unpleasant.
And every time the Orioles won, they won like once a week. But when they won, it was like 13-1. It was painful.
Can I throw in one more closer? I know you want to talk about another guy, but. Arizona is up in the air too.
Up in the air. We talked about Soria a couple weeks ago. I didn't like how he pitched last year, and I was off him. Stefan Crichton was kind of the guy early on. It seems like a mess right now.
Do we know? I got to pull up? Steve Gardner sent around a pronunciation guide, and I got it, but I didn't look up.
I got it too. Is it not Crichton?
I don't know. I've been calling it Crichton, but I think I might be wrong. That's all I'm saying. I'll find it. Here we go. But I found it. It'll be a second for me to open it. So fascinating podcasting here.
While you're doing that, since we're talking about the Orioles, Michael Franco signed there. Talk about a perfect landing spot, like a great place to hit. He had 17 home runs in 2019. He's a pretty good strikeout guy, which I was kind of surprised by. I kind of remembered him striking out, but he really doesn't. 15.6% last year. He had 8 home runs last year. Hit 278. He's a guy that if he plays every day for the Orioles, the stats are probably going to be there.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if he plays every day, but he might. I mean, I guess Rio Ruiz get cut? I don't even know if I looked that up.
I saw him playing second base the other day too.
Well, there's the other news. I mean, they remember they straight up DFA'd Yolmer Sanchez.
Yep.
Because they're the Orioles, so it could be Valaika, could be Ramon Urias, could be Ruiz. I looked at somewhere and they had Ramon Urias at second base, and I admit that I didn't know who that was, which just doesn't happen very often, but I'm embarrassed when it does. But I'm not drafting him because I don't know who it is. Yeah, I don't blame it. By the way, Ruiz did play just today. I think it was that he played second base.
Second, okay. I knew I saw him at second over the weekend at some point.
Yeah. So it is Stefan Crichton.
Oh, there you go. See. As usual, you were right, and I was wrong. I'll take the
once I was right, and you were wrong. Just once. It could be Steven for all we know, but it says Stefan. I'm going to assume it's Stefan.
I think I've heard Stefan, but I clearly butchered the last name. So I'm glad you looked that up.
Put the pronunciation for Stefan in parentheses afterward.
My favorite thing about that guide, too, is they have nickname preferences, too. So they have, if someone would prefer to be called Mike or Michael, they have all that in there, too, which is pretty fascinating. I didn't know there were that many guys who had a strong preference to using a nickname or not.
Yeah. And then my favorite are, in the pronunciation guys, pause. They'll click pause and this, okay.
Beautiful. Yeah. So let's jump into week 1 a little bit. I want to talk about that real quick, but first a note from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Fantasy baseball is here, and you've got to check out. So Jeff, week 1 is unlike any other week we had this season. It's a half week. There's like I said before, there's 22 teams that play 3 games this week. There's 8 that play 4. I'll get into those 4 and those 8 games, those 4 series in a second, but. Important stuff. You want to be able to field a full team, whether it's hitters, whether it's positions where you've got guys hurt, make sure you fill stuff in. But the 9 pitchers is key because there's 22 teams that only have 3 of their 5 starting pitchers go, which is big. There's a lot of hitters who only play 2 games over the weekend. If you can find a way to get some of those guys that play 3 games over the weekend, the 4 scheduled guys, that's important too. serious were you about making sure you had 9 pitchers on your team when you went into Fab? Is that something you've got to get? Are you okay with one dead spot this week? How serious were you about that?
I tried, but like in my main event team, my Saturday main event team, which I like a lot. I think it's the better of my 2 main event teams. I had a lot of guys that aren't pitching the first week, or like Tony Gonsolin, he'll probably pitch in relief, but it's at Coors Field, so I don't want to use him. But I might still end up having to do so. But I just. It's like I did make. That's why I made the JT Brubaker pick up there. He's facing the Cubs. I mean, it's not great, but it's in April, so you don't think Wrigley will be hopping at that point.
Yeah. I think Brubaker actually might be pretty decent too. I think he's I'm gonna hold cover my eyes and watch this start. I think the Brubaker's got a little bit of talent.
Yeah, I think that's right, and the other thing too is. It was one of the few contested bids in that league. There were others that were picked up. The real skill is looking to the following week and finding the cushy spots.
Because all the 2-step guys are the 4th and 5th starters. And
yep.
I was looking at Dalton Jeffries for the A's, got a bunch of big bids. It looks like he is. I don't know if he's won. I don't think he's won the 5th job. He's probably the leader right now. Although AJ Puck pitched really well, and then Irvin pitched really well this weekend against the Dodgers too. But Jeffries pitched again today, gave him 1 run in 5 innings. I think he's the guy. But you look at next week, they face the Dodgers, and they're at Houston for his 2 starts. And you're like, oh, that's talk about a risky 2-step. Like that's as bad as it gets.
And it might only be a 2-step and then done because Mike Fiers might be back. Now I think Fiers will take a little longer to be back. And
the other scary part of the guy like that is if the Dodgers kill him in the first start, maybe Puck or Irvin throws the second start. Like it's just there's no guarantee he's getting that second start.
Especially if Puck comes in relief of him and is lights out.
Yep. The A's want Puck to be the guy. I mean, eventually at some point they want him to be starting every 5th day, and maybe it's not there yet. And he hasn't done more than 4 innings, but I don't know. I like Jeffries as kind of a 29th round guy. Maybe very good command. Like he doesn't walk anybody. He's been really good in the spring. But I saw a bid for like 265 on him in a main event, and I was like, oh, that's just super aggressive considering how the matchups look. Like you might not even be able to use him next week.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought. It's like this is a guy that even this weekend was getting drafted in the 25th, 28th round. I mean, maybe it was later on Saturday than it was on Thursday, but I just remember like when he went, it's like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good pick. Kind of annoyed that I didn't think about it sooner. I mean, I had him on my list. I had a projection for him and everything, but it's like, and then it's like, here we go.
Yeah, I obviously follow the A's closely. I think he's going to make the start on Tuesday, but like I said, it's up in the air, and it's the Dodgers. So I just I'll grab him late in the draft if he's there, but I'm not going to be super aggressive about pushing him just because it's hard to use him early on.
Yeah.
But the 8 teams that play 4 games this week, we have the Padres at home for 4 against Arizona, which is awesome for Padres hitters going against the Arizona pitching. We have the Dodgers and Rockies getting 4 games in Coors, which is fascinating. If you drafted Dodgers pitchers, you're throwing those starts, but not
happy about it though either.
Not the easiest landing spot for your ace to go for his first start, whether it be Kershaw or Bauer or Buehler, or even Julio Urias is going to pitch on Sunday. You got the White Sox 4 games in Los Angeles against the Angels, and then you have Houston 4 games in Oakland. A really good series there between the top 2 teams in the AL West. If you play 4 games this weekend, it's big. There's only 8 teams that do it, and it's nice to get if you need to pick up a middle reliever or like a setup guy for this week. You want to do one of these 4 series because you can grab a Garrett Crochet. I'm probably going to butcher that name too. I should look that one up too. But someone like that who might pitch multi innings too is really interesting. A guy that's really good, probably available, going to pitch multi innings has some value this week when there's a lot of guys that aren't making their starts.
Yeah, that's right. And Crochet was like my backup to Brubaker. If I not, it is Crochet by the way.
I got one right. One for 2. I'm hitting 500.
Yeah. Fred Nitt
I'm only like 280 points short of Kevin Newman's spring training batting average.
Derek Crochet should come in relief of Jared Weaver, but
that's so bad.
Yeah, no, thank you. I thought of it just now too. Believe it or not, this agile mind. It's like,
I feel better. I feel better you hadn't been sitting on that one because that one never was sitting on.
Well, I know. Well, by the way, speaking of sitting, I mean, you're not going to have if you drafted Jared Weaver and you're like, okay, well, he's the 5th starter, that's fine. Misses the Padres. Nope, Coors Field next week. So I was looking at the arrows because
you mean Luke Weaver?
Yeah, Jared Weaver, Luke Weaver, doesn't matter. I mean, you're not going to use either of them.
Luke Weaver's been bad in spring training. I mean, it
doesn't matter bad for like so long.
That's the thing. Like, you want a guy like that. You're like, oh, I see. He used to be good. You want him see him dealing a little bit in spring to make you feel better, and he's been really bad.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just looking at this rotation too. I mean, Mad Bum, sure, he's had a great spring, and I know he's on your no-fly zone.
I'm just going to murder him. It's going to be great.
I actually added Merrill Kelly in one of my two mains, but man, it's tough to use him in his first two starts at San Diego, at Colorado. By the way, all NL West pitchers are kind of like that. You have to dodge the Dodgers, you have to dodge the Padres, and at Coors Field. Although maybe not at Coors Field. I don't know. Maybe it's just their weakest lineup.
But then you get, if you're home against the Rockies or Arizona and the Giants, you're like, oh, I'm throwing that for sure. So it's really a peaks and valleys division. It's pretty crazy. But you look at that Padres lineup. I mean, up and down 1 through 7. There's no Austin Nola right now, but 1 through 7 without the catcher spot. And Caratini can hit a little bit of catcher, but I mean, there's no spots there to take a breath. Like the ninth spot when the pitcher comes up, sure, but I tell you what, it's a lineup where there's no place to take an easy at bat.
And it's a deep bench too.
Yeah. When they pitch hit, they bring in Profar. You bring in someone like, I mean, it's another guy that can hit. It's just.
Although not this spring, by the way, on Profar.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you see how bad he's been?
He's not been good. I did see that somewhere.
I think he's like 1 for 33 this spring.
Oh God, I didn't know it was quite that bad.
I defamed him a little bit. He's 4 for 41, 52 plate appearances. So he's walked 10 times in spring. Who walks 10 times in spring training? I mean, that's hard to do. But
getting that OBP up.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Kim has it in his contract. He can't be sent down.
That's not true.
I wonder. Oh, I thought it was.
That is not true. That's been mentioned a couple times.
Right? Okay.
When he signed, that was a preference, but I saw it clarified later that that's not true. He can be sent down.
That's it. It's interesting. I'm glad you said that, because I saw a couple of notes of saying he couldn't, and that was why he was sticking. But be interesting to see what they do with his playing time, because I think it feels to me like Cronenworth's kind of taking that spot for the time being.
Yeah, and I'm going to double check on that, but I'm almost positive he can. That was just a misspoken fact. That he thought they had a better chance of not getting sent down, but I don't think he was able to get what he wanted as far as that goes.
I saw some story that he picked there over another spot because of that.
Over Toronto, yeah.
I fully admit that I did not follow up to the next step of that, which I should have.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. I mean, I've seen it going around. Michael Salfino, who I had on the podcast, was saying the same thing. I could be the one that's in the wrong, but I saw a pushback on that said, no, that's not actually what happened. I think the important thing is Jake Cronenworth has won the job.
We talked about him last week. He's someone that I think is a really good hitter, and I think should win that job.
Yeah, and I'm a little ticked that there's a couple instances where I had him queued up and just didn't get him. That's super frustrating.
The discount's gone though. I think he's it was a while where he kind of went down a little bit, and I think that's pretty much gone now.
One pick in front of us on Saturday.
So Jeff, we kind of hit a few of the news and notes. We were doing the Fab talk, but some other guys we talked about. Luke Voigt. You mentioned Matt Barnes real quick. He did test positive for COVID. Kind of the first name guy we've had so far. Right now we had Joey Votto early on, but the guy that's recently tested, obviously out for whatever is 10 days till he tests negative a certain number of times. How much do you push up someone like AdamAdavino with this sort of news?
I mean, he's out. If he's out 10 days, then it's another like 10 or so to ramp back up. You'd think too. Right. So a decent amount, and because what if Ottavino cruises?
That assumes he's okay, right? That assumes he doesn't have symptoms and all that kind of stuff too.
Exactly. What if Ottavino is just nails in the role and has 6 saves at that point?
Yep. And they hadn't named Barnes the closer yet either, so it seemed like they were kind of battling as it was. So
although Barnes was having a really good spring prior to that.
He was.
I will say that. And I think he added a new pitch. It was just he was pitching very well. To the point where I had taken him off my board and I added him back, basically.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's watch the cuts. He might have been cut in a few leagues, and if he was, you might be able to sneak him in there on the cheap, and just if you're just churning your bottom roster spots.
It's weird for guys who look different when they're on the mound. They have very similar walk and strikeout profiles. They both strike out a lot of guys, walk a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Have had hot streaks where they're really good and have had streaks where they can't find the plate. So it's weird how Barnes is kind of a fireballer. Ottavino's the funky, really big breaking slider. It's interesting how they kind of when you look at them side by side in their Fangraphs pages, they're very similar guys.
That's wild.
Enrique Hernandez sticking in Boston is sounds like he's going to be the leadoff hitter. This is I don't think a month ago we really thought he was going to be slotted in the leadoff hitter often, maybe every once in a while. But you listen to what Alex Cora says, it sounds like he's the guy right now.
2 weeks ago, I already bought it. I bought him in the staff keeper league for And, and the thing is, I thought that for sure that, it was sticking because he was doing well, and it was every single day he was batting leadoff in spring training. It wasn't just like, oh, we'll try it. No, they were boom, boom, every day. Unless he fell flat on his face, he signaled his intentions loud and clear from far away. Loud and clear? I don't think that's the phrase, but.
It's just close enough. And the Red Sox aren't what they were, but I mean, you still hit in front of Verdugo, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers. I mean, you're not going to get a much better leadoff spot than that with 4 guys behind you. I mean, if he sticks there, that's a ton of runs if he can get on base.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Now, is he that good? I don't
know. I mean, he has got the pop. He had 38 home runs between 2018 and 2019, but like you look at OBP and he's not an OBP guy. So I just don't know. I don't know if it really works. He had some walks back in 2017, 2018, but like his career high OBP in a full season is 336. Like, I don't know how long that gets it done in that spot. And you got those guys behind him. You want someone that gets on base.
Yeah.
I think fantasy wise, he really works right now. I think that you want to play him at least for these couple months. I don't know if it's going to stick or not though.
Yeah. It's like, it's all about like, he's one of those guys. It's all about the start,
It is.
And they start off against Baltimore. That's not so bad. John Means, Matt Harvey, Bruce Zimmerman.
How is Matt Harvey the number 2?
How is Baltimore? Just say that.
But like Matt Harvey is so done. It's just not that I like more than Matt Harvey make a big comeback, but I mean Bruce Zimmerman, Dean Kramer, Jorge Lopez. It's oof.
Yeah, oof is right.
It's gonna be a lot of runs in Camden Yards this summer.
Yeah, I've been posing the name 5 Orioles pitcher challenge to people all spring and all off season, and it's a tough one.
I just drafted we just both drafted. You take 450 guys, and I would have gotten 3 of those names.
Yeah, I mean
that's pretty bad.
I mean, there's the only 2 draftable guys are Means and Tanner Scott. That's it. That's the list. Maybe Cesar Valdez if you think that Scott's not going to be the closer, but.
Right. There's nobody else there that you even like thinking about though, right?
Sean Armstrong, maybe, but yeah, we're really scratching.
Hunter Harvey's got the oblique. He's out for a while.
He's out till July. I mean, or June or July. He's crossed off the list. Yeah, it's really bad.
It's really bad. And they sent down Keegan Aiken, who people like Wade LeBlanc's in AAA with that. Oh God.
Yeah.
Sticking in the AL East, though, on a positive one, Alejandro Kirk made the opening roster for the Blue Jays. He's someone that is definitely moving up draft boards. I mean, he's still the backup to Danny Jansen. I think Danny Jansen kind of has that defense thing going for him. I mean, he's good defensively, not great, but definitely the guy. But you wonder how long that's going to be. I mean, Alejandro Kirk doesn't have the look, and doesn't look like he's going to be a great hitter, but he just hits. I mean, 2019 an A, and we're talking low A and high A, but hit 290. K rate under 10%. Like he's one of those weirdly elite contact guys that just never swings and misses. 700 runs in 92 games. He had a really good debut last year. Obviously, it was really short amount of games, but this is a guy, when you read stories about him, everybody just thinks he can. There's no doubt he can hit. It's just a matter if he can play defense and stick there at catcher. But I don't think there's any doubt that he can hit the ball a little bit.
Well, I agree. I mean, I target him. I got him in the Thursday main event.
Nice.
Round 22.
What round?
And he got snagged in 19 on Saturday.
I was gonna say. You took him Thursday, and I think like Saturday it looked pretty clear he was going to make the team, so he moved up even more. And I pushed him around too far, and I regret it. It's one of the ones that one of the mistakes that I felt in my league. I pushed him. I was like, I think I can get him one more round. And I think I was 20. I tried to get him 21, and he went. And it was just a mistake.
Yeah,
I mean, second catcher. Who knows if it's really a mistake? But it's at that point in the draft, there's no reason to push guys around. We just take them because the difference between the 20th pick and the 25th pick is so minimal.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when missing out on Wilson on Astudillo really ticked me off, and
that's right.
That.
Let's hope it goes better. Let's hope it goes better than that did.
Yeah, let's hope so too. I mean, but the thing is, I mean, it's a second catcher. I mean, you're just. That's one of the few catchers with upside. So that's why I really wanted to target him. Most of the catchers, he's going to play. Yan Gomes is going to get loads of playing time. Okay. Ryan Jeffers is another one in that cut out of the upside mold, though. He's a guy that I'm kind of interested in, although Garver looks healthy this year, so maybe not as much.
I like Jose Trevino a little bit.
I could see it. If I'm
looking for something to hold on to in that late in the draft, 40.6% hard hit rate, 12.5% barrels last year. There's very little stats to hang on to at catchers that deep, but give me someone that hit the ball that hard last year, and I'm looking for anything to pick a guy. That's I kind of fall back on Trevino there.
Yeah, I kind of like cleanup hitter Pedro Severino too.
Yeah,
and he's pretty cheap.
A good place to hit too.
Omar Narvaez is standing straight up now in his stance, so therefore he's getting more launch angle. Therefore he's better. Sure, maybe. I got Posey. What do you think about Posey this year? I got him in the Saturday main.
What round did you get him in?
20.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that point it's fine. I don't think the power is ever coming back, to be honest. But I think that I think there's a legit chance he hits 280 though, which is if he hits 280 and your 20th pick is your 20th round as a catcher, that's a win right there.
Yeah, that's the way I looked at it.
But you're gonna get 7 home runs.
Yeah. True. Well,
I think it depends.
It's a de-juice ball. Everybody's going to get 7 home runs now.
That's true. There you go. Well, he might have 4 then.
True.
But it depends on the roster. If you're a roster that has a good batting average, you need some pop. I don't think he works. But if you maybe lead up batting average up, you got a lot of power up top. Then I think he fits nicely too. So I think it's kind of a team build guy. But I don't think the power's coming back.
Pairs well with my Pete Alonso. Yes.
There you go. Beautiful. A couple of notes before we do get into talking about our main event teams. I do want to talk about that for a few minutes. Tommy Edman was named the everyday second baseman. I know that doesn't seem shocking, but there's a lot of people out there that thought that Matt Carpenter was maybe going to play more than he should. He's been really bad the last couple of years, but sounds like they're pretty committed to Carpenter in a backup role, which is the right thing. But I don't know if we all thought that was going to end up happening.
Well, yeah, there was some thought. Okay, well maybe Edman will have to play a little outfield because Harrison Bader's out 4 weeks, and Lane Thomas I think got sent down. But they're rolling with Carlson. We still don't know the third starter, actually. O'Neill and Carlson are going, and I think they're just going to cover the whole outfield. Now, but it could be Justin Williams.
Why don't we just have Dylan Carlson play 2 positions and get to hit twice down the lineup every time? I'm good with that.
Yeah, I missed out on him this weekend. I was a little upset about that. Austin Dean could play. I still think you'll see Edman in the outfield every once in a while because it's not like Carpenter can play there.
You don't see many teams where you look at projected lineup and all 3 outfielders are the last 3 spots in the lineup.
Is Carlson's going to move up though eventually?
Pretty quick, but right now he's probably down there. But I don't think that lasts very long. Although they have if you look at the first 4 of the lineup, they stick pretty well. But I think that Carlson should be hitting above Yadi Molina right now for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think over DeYoung eventually too.
It feels like it's been multiple years where the Cardinals have no outfielders that hit anywhere near in the middle of their lineup. It's a very strange situation. You don't see many teams like that.
Please like our video and subscribe to RotoWire. Then go to rotowire.com/pod for a free 10-day trial.